talk about budget tips and tools for core members. I just asked Amanda, and I said, you know, is budgeting an issue for core members? She said, big time, very, very big time that it's an issue. So it's something we look after every aspect, spiritual, you know, integration, we look at personal, like integrating in the community, everything. Budgeting is a very important part, very, very important part. So, let me just try this again.
I think you have to have it so that it can see the.
Oh, so you can see that? Okay, there. Budgeting is an important tool for everyone, not just for low-income earners, but the stakes definitely get higher the tighter the budget becomes. And a lot of these guys have got very, very tight budgets. How can budgeting help your CM? Basically, budgeting is going to give your CM an action plan to follow. It'll provide a clear picture of where his or her money is ending up every month, and it may help him or her achieve their goals. How do you think your CM may be at risk if he or she is not financially responsible with his or her money? What's the risk factors if they're not managing their money properly? Pardon? Can't hear that, sorry.
Pressure to do.
Getting it.
You want to say again to us?
Kim.
Oh.
It's more stress and more pressure, that's what you said.
More stress. More pressure, just what you just said.
Oh, I thought you were saying the light was bringing stress. Yeah.
Is that true?
There's more stress, more pressure. There's more likelihood if they've supported their habits or whatever else in previously with stealing or whatever else, that if they need the money for something, it gets them, it's riskier behavior for them again. We even had an experience with one of the guys that basically started, you know, with loaning $20 extra a month, and it was next month was 20 and 50 to somebody else. They get behind the eight ball. They really, really do. So you're putting them at risk. They're putting themselves at risk if they can't manage their money properly. So it is one area that we, as their core, as their volunteers, can help them with. Why would your CM want to develop a budget? Maybe because they're living paycheck to paycheck. They run out of money before the next paycheck. They want to save up for something special in particular, such as a new phone, a computer, a TV, transportation, bike. They want to be able to purchase cigarettes, new clothes, which they can't maybe on their finances at that point. They want to build up an emergency fund. Well, actually, sometimes they don't really want to do that, but we try to encourage them to do that, right? Because they're not prepared for it. You have to remember, a lot of these gentlemen and women they've had a lifestyle where they live paycheck to paycheck, and when they have money, they spend it. So they have to, it's another learned behavior, it's another thing we have to encourage them to learn so that they can manage this so much better. The focus that we should do as volunteers is we need to focus on his or her why that person needs a budget. And whatever they deem, when you do your assessment with them and say, you know, why do you think you need a budget? Whatever it is, then constantly remind them of that, you know, how are you going to get your TV, your new TV? How are you going to, you know, not have to loan money from somebody soon? So those are important. To begin with, we're going to track their spending for a month. That's what we suggest that you do. So I've got a form that we'll hand out to you that gives you an example. Simple first step, and it can be very difficult for people to start writing. Like, okay, I bought a coffee for $1. I don't need to write down. You write everything down that you spend. And then you know the categories that you're going to develop your permanent budget on. And that's very, very important. So track everything for 1 month, minimum. For an entire month, CM records every single cent that is spent. Provide the CM with a pen and a notebook if you need to, budgeting sheet, or suggest he or she records expenditure on their phones. If they've got a smartphone, they can download an app to do that. Positive side effects of tracking spending is that it gives the CM a moment to think about purchases before making them. Doesn't want to write down the cost of daily coffees on the tracking sheet. We've had the experience with one of our CMs that he said, oh, I'm just doing the big things. No, it's the little things that cause the problems. That it's this dispendable income that you have that it ends up being so much more all the time than you expect. And one of the major areas is food, which is like restaurants, fast food, chips. I'm going to stop off and buy a Coke at the corner. I'm going to get a pop.
The most interesting one we had is we had $125 and there was nothing in, and we said, what was $125? And we said, I really don't want to tell you. So he pushed, and he said, but I didn't sleep with her, I just needed company. She laid in the bed next to me for the $125. So you don't know. Sometimes you don't know either why it's missing, or so it's important to remember that sometimes there's activities that maybe.
I think it's important to stress with the CM that you're not there to judge, and you're not passing judgment on them as to what they spend. Just record it. It's his ultimate decision, how he's going to live his life and how he's going to spend his money. But the point is that if you want our help, if you want to have some alternatives, track this and do this. And you can have a lot of resentment sometimes. We even had with our CMs that he said he didn't want to tell us that was a private matter. We said, you told us like all your sexual, misconducts and everything else like that in your activities, but you're not going to tell us where you're spending your money, So you got to develop, you got to have trust, and you got to make sure not to judge them with it, and just inform them of better ways to do it. At the end of the session, we'll be handing you one of these budget sheets so that you can use it for them if you'd like to, as an example. I'm just going through this quickly so we don't forget, so we get it covered, but I'm not going into a lot of detail. Yes, Margaret?
What about one of your board members that discharges everything on his credit card?
Well, the point is I think he still has to keep track, like with Visa, and it's towards his restaurant, and it's still a way of spending the money, whether it's cash, credit card, debit, it doesn't matter.
So that doesn't violate his privacy, because he doesn't want to have a budget.
Yeah.
Because I can do it.
Yeah. But you know what? If he doesn't want it, you can do it. This is basically for ones that want the assistance. And if they're having a problem with it, but it's true, Margaret, you can only help them if they want to be helped. So that's something. It just makes their life a little bit easier.
And the majority do not want to do budgets. So I'm wondering, when I see that sheet up there, if you can't take it to your next meeting and say, this is part of our training, and we're to ask our board members to do it. And that might be, maybe not the bad guy, but you never know. No, it might be, look, this is our responsibility. We've been asked to do it. Would you consider it? I don't think, I bet you 1 in 10 at the most is willing to do a budget. So I think they need to be encouraged and pushed to that, because it gets them into a lot of trouble.
It's just like, how many of them want to do goals? They're sick and tired of doing goals in the prison and doing this. They say, I don't want to set goals. I don't want to do this, but it's necessary to do this kind of thing. And it's just a tool that they can use like anything else, okay? Now, work on the budget with your CM. Some suggestions are, make it fun. Bring cookies or cake to the session. Say, this isn't such a bad thing. Let's get this done together. Use a sample budget sheet, which you have provided for you. You modify according to his or her month's expenses. You'd say, oh, this is all that you spent on food. This is what you bought to buy at home, and this is what you bought outside, like fast food. You divvy it up. It's sometimes just making them aware of where they're spending their money. It's not necessarily doing anything else. So just saying, this is just so you know, and then you decide what you want to do. You can even go where they keep the tracking record and they submit to you, their totals in the areas or whatever else, but it's just to enlighten them, to give them some information. Start with the most important categories, always the first 4 things: food, shelter and utilities, basic clothing and transportation. And once those things are covered and budgeted, then the rest is gravy as far as it goes, okay? Now, help your CM create a budget. We have these budget sheets here again too. Just basically you can list the things. We've got sample budgets. from everywhere. You can get them on the internet anywhere, but they talk about childcare, they talk about car expenses. It doesn't apply. So you need to, from that first sheet that they filled out, you know what they're spending their money on, and you do that. Okay, where am I? Okay, oops. Wait a minute. Did I go too far? Did I miss? I don't know how to go back. How do I go back on this, Linnea?
I don't know how you go back on there, so I'll go back.
Okay, no, things to consider when setting, okay. Then, okay, so make a schedule, pick specific dates for specific expenses. Like if you know that they get paid on the 21st or they get their welfare check, put that in there. Set up automatic drafts to pay their bills. If you know your landlord is this, make sure it comes out. You know that you've got other expenses that comes out, your cable bill, everything else, automatic. They know it's off, they can't spend it on anything else. So maybe setting up automatic payments and stuff like that. Okay? Create a buffer in the budget. Put a small amount of money aside for unexpected expenses throughout the month. They get a dentist bill, which they can't cover. Replacement toaster, their toaster's gone. They've got to be ready for this. A lot of them aren't used to doing that. Miscellaneous category. If you got a miscellaneous category, keep track of the expenses that frequently end up in this category, because maybe there should be kept in the account that it's not easily accessed. Because if they're spending it on chips, at the 7-Eleven, then you'd say, no, you shouldn't do it. Suggest that they don't do that. Don't be afraid to trim the budget. Eating out less, canceling cable. Budget cuts can always just be temporary. It may not have to last. Tell them that. It's not like you can't ever have that again, but cut back on it. Okay. Set up a savings fund. Start planning for saving now is what we have to encourage them. Open a savings account that automatically withdraws money when a paycheck is deposited. It could be $5 a month. It doesn't matter. Just get them started to think about that. That's all, because they've never probably done that. Track the progress. Check the progress with your CM from time to time. Look back at earlier budgets to see how far he or she has come. Keep a close eye on the food budget. That's the big problem. Set goals and work towards them. It can be a source of motivation for maintaining a budget. CM could post goals where he or she sees them every day. I want to buy a bike in 3 months' time. Have it facing them in their kitchen or wherever they are so that it keeps them motivated. Shop with a grocery list. It's very easy to overspend on food. Look for coupons and check out flyers. Shop generic version, name brands. Review the cell phone plan and usage. Sometimes you don't need all those gigabytes. And maybe just temporarily for a couple of months, some things get going. Make changes to the plan. Give up a few gigs. Comparison shop between different service providers. Decrease expenses versus cutting them out. Sometimes just saying, I like to eat my pizza once a month out at the restaurant. Okay, do it once, not 3 times. So just trying to show them about moderation. Save the loose change. It's amazing. If you got a little collection container and you put all your loose change in it, it can amount to quite a bit at the end of it. Suggest using cash and envelopes for certain budget categories that trip up your CM. So if constantly overspending on a category such as eating out, encourage the CM to cash out that category and use the envelope system to hold themselves accountable. They go out to the bank, pull out that amount of cash they budgeted for that category, and once the cash runs out, the spending is over. It's the ultimate accountability tool. We even had one CM, because we talked about this last week with one of our CMs, and he said actually another CM from another group that he's friends with, and they were talking, he said, I'll keep the envelope for you so that you don't spend it. If you ask me for it, then I'll give it to you then at that point. So there's different ways to do it, and they can help each other, which is kind of neat. Get additional income. Sometimes it just isn't enough money, and you gotta be willing to go out and get some more income. It might come to the point where your CM realizes that his or her income is just not enough. In that case, an additional job or changing his or her job may be necessary. So basically, creating and sticking to a budget on a low income can be hard, but it is possible. And that's what we're there to help them with. The things that are difficult for them, they may come from a background that they've never done this and haven't done this. So be understanding, support them, and give them the tools and help them with it. I've got a handout which has the budget tracking worksheet and the and see, any questions about budgeting other than this? Try to race through it a little bit. Does any of your CNs, do you think, have problems with money management?
No.
Have you guys talked to them about money management? Okay, well, that's good. We'll just keep on top of it. Some of them might have a problem, some of them won't, but the majority of them do have a problem with managing money. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll pass these out.
Just one other thing I'd like to add, if you're one of the circles that has the core member at the end of the month who doesn't have enough money, doesn't have food, and you're thinking, what do we do? You know, and that's ongoing. Well, I have a suggestion, and it's only been used, I think, 3 times in quite a few years, but I think it's a good thing to challenge them with, and that is, okay, you really got problems, but you got to agree to one thing. When you get your check on, especially if it's welfare, third Wednesday or fourth Wednesday of the month, you agree to give 1/4 of that, or whatever you worked out on the budget, that they need for that last week when they never have anything. And your circle will hold that for you. Then you will not be hungry again. You will have balanced that out for that 4th week. And we've seen that work. I mean, they don't like to do it, they don't like to give it, but we'll help you this month. You know, we'll get you some groceries, one of the volunteers drive you to the store after, but only on the condition that you agree to that. Otherwise, kind of you made your own bed, so lie with an idea.